The Detroit Pistons took care of business against the New York Knicks, winning game 2, 194. What does this mean? What happened? Let's talk all about it right here on Top Title Detroit. Let's go. Perfect. What's good? Welcome to Top Title Detroit. I am Eric Vincent, your host and Detroit Pistons beat reporter for ClutchPoints.com. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time. Please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, lock in with us here at Top Title Detroit. Tell a friend to join us and join the community. I would really appreciate the support. Boy, am I happy to be here talking to you guys right now, because what a game we got to witness last night. The Detroit Pistons handling business at Madison Square Garden, splitting the two-game home stretch on the road at Madison Square, beating the Knicks 100-94 in dramatic fashion, where it looked like deja vu was happening once again. Pistons got out to a huge lead. I think they led by as many as maybe 15 or 17 points. And they played with a lot more composure and aggressiveness and energy than we saw in game one. Game one, they built a bit of a lead, but they still seemed a little bit tentative, and they still seemed like they were trying to adjust to the postseason atmosphere. Game two looked like a completely different story. The Pistons came out aggressive from the start. They were really honing in on the rebounds. They were really moving the ball well. They were playing downhill. They were playing great team defense. And even when the Knicks tried to rally and, put forth their pressure against the Pistons, they responded beautifully. JB Biggerstaff kept talking about this after game one. He said, basketball is all about how you adjust from what you've learned. And what we saw, what they needed to learn was how to close out fourth quarters. Allowing a 21-0 run is never acceptable. They did a great job, a fantastic job of making sure that did not happen again. The Knicks put on some good pressure. Again, the Pistons were up double digits, did a really good job in the third and the fourth quarter, but towards the end of the fourth, the Knicks rallied again. I think they went on like a 16-4 run where they tied the game at 97 apiece. Dennis Schroeder hit a huge triple. It was 94 apiece, actually. Dennis Schroeder hit a huge triple to put the lead back up to 3, and the Pistons managed to get a few stops towards the end of the game to put the Knicks out of their misery. They weren't able to come out with the same energy. They weren't, executing. They missed some open shots. Brunson wasn't in the same rhythm with the last few shots of the game, and the Pistons found a way to get out with the victory. Series tied 1-1. I am so proud of what I saw from the Pistons last night, man. That was an awesome performance by this team. They did exactly what they needed to do, and they learned quickly. Again, game one was just on Saturday, so they didn't get a whole lot of time to learn in between from their mistakes. They watched film, had a good shoot around, talked to the guys about, what needed to be done to correct their mistakes, and in a hostile environment with celebrities all over the place at Madison Square Garden, the Pistons answered the call and came out victorious, stamping their first playoff victory since 2008. Since 2008, I was graduating high school in 2008. I'm 34 years old. So imagine what I've been through and how long I've been waiting to see this moment come through. Again, I'm a beat reporter for the team, but I'm also a fan of this team. I'm very proud to see what they're doing, very proud to see this progression, and happy to see them finally come up on the victorious end in postseason action, because it wasn't easy. It was not an easy game that they had to get through. The Pistons had a lot of adversity to play through. First, starting off with Isaiah Stewart not even being in the lineup and available. Unfortunately, was dealing with a right knee injury. He was questionable coming into the game, was ruled out just before. We'll see when he possibly can return, hopefully before the next game at LCA, because the Pistons could really use him with that depth. But even without Stu, they played a fantastic basketball game, holding the Knicks under 100 points. Jalen Duren, I think, played his best two-way basketball game of maybe his entire career, because I think not only was he serviceable on the offensive end, he's putting down some good dunks, served as a good lob threat for Cade, had some really good rebounds. I think he had 12 points, 13 rebounds, 4 on the offensive end. but his defense was fantastic tonight. Even the shots that the Knicks were hitting in the paint, Duren did an amazing job of deterring basically all of them. He had 3 block shots. He managed to basically be a deterrent, or at least like an adversary every single time the Knicks tried to put up a shot at the rim. Duren made sure that he was around and interfering in any way he possibly could. Did have 5 fouls, but managed to play through it and didn't really rack up a lot of them until late in the game. So he wasn't playing in early foul trouble like we saw in game 1. Duren had a fantastic turnaround with what he did in game 1 after game 1. Game 2 was fantastic by Duren. He was the biggest X factor for this game for the team. Another big X factor was Dennis Schroeder. Coming off the bench, 20 points, did a really good job adding some extra punch offensively, hitting some huge clutch shots for the Pistons, and he did a really good job of guarding Jalen Brunson. Unfortunately, Asar Thompson fouled out. It was some pretty ticky-tack, terrible calls where Brunson is just dribbling into the defender and initiating a lot of the contact, and the officials were still giving him the benefit of the call. And unfortunately, it served for 6 fouls for Asar Thompson. I didn't really like that, but I did like how Dennis Schroeder came back to be the kind of safety valve as the veteran defender that this team needed, especially to go along with 20 points as well. Schroeder played a fantastic game in a huge spot where they needed him tremendously. But the MVP of this game, without question, goes to that all-star, that all-NBA talent, that superstar mega talent himself, Cade Cunningham. An unbelievable performance after looking a little shaky in game 1. Again, his stat line looked fine in game 1 in some areas, 21 points and 12 assists. Looks good in a blank slate, but the 6 turnovers and the shakiness and the inefficiency didn't really come off that good. And Cade did a tremendous job in 42 minutes worth of action of bouncing back, leading the team, and showing that he can be the superstar that they can rely on in clutch closing moments. Cade was awesome. 33 points, 11 of 21 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 10 of 12 from the free throw line. He got to the line 12 times. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, that was more than flopping Jalen Brunson. I'm very surprised by that, but it was pleasant to see because Cade wasn't flopping to get his calls. So I have respect for what Cade did. He played a fantastic game. Pulled down 12 rebounds, had 5 turnovers, got 2 steals. Really gave the Pistons everything that they needed. He really played downhill the good chunk of the game. Didn't rely on his jump shot a whole lot. Really played a lot of his minutes and put a lot of his production in the paint. They weren't doubling him as much as we saw them do in game 1. When the Knicks were playing him in game 1, like we come off a screen from Duren, they hedged very hard and they kept Cat or whoever the big was in the perimeter to limit Cade and get the ball out of his hand. They weren't doing a whole lot of that against the Pistons in game 2 on Monday, They did a good job of keeping the defenders flat and let Cade play one-on-one. What I mean by that is they let the defenders not necessarily creep up with a pick and roll. They kind of kept them low towards like the baseline, and that allowed Cade to have enough room that he needed to play ISO against OG Anunoby. And a lot of those times where he was getting those kind of opportunities is when he was kind of scoring off of transition or off of quick action where the defender was on their heels and they weren't prepared to step up and stop Cade Cunningham. By the time they did, he was already turning the corner and looking for an easy layup. And he made some tough ones at the rim too. Cade put up some tough buckets and really showed that he can be the superstar focal point that the Pistons need in moments like this, especially in a game where Brunson puts up 37 points. You're going to have somebody else that goes band for band, and Cade did exactly that. Was a little quiet in the fourth quarter, but he gave them exactly what they needed throughout the important stretches of the game. Again, kudos to the Pistons defense. A big X factor for them. OG Anunoby last game had, 25? He had 10 points this game. Karl-Anthony Towns had 10 points this game. Cam Payne didn't do anything this time around, didn't even score. Mikal Bridges had 19, but that didn't kill them at all. Josh Hart was a little more quiet than we saw in the first game, didn't produce the same kind of energy, and that is the biggest key for the Pistons. I said it in the last video. If the Knicks if their role players are going to be the biggest role players in this series, the Pistons have no chance of winning. If OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, if these role players are the ones that are dominating and producing the most energy in this series, the Pistons are not doing their job and they have no chance of winning this game. And in a game where Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. kind of struggled a little bit, this was a game where they needed as much help as possible. So when you have Schroeder stepping up, Tobias Harris having a double-double, playing another sound, solid game, B-Ball Paul Reed having great energy off the bench in absence of Beef Stew, those guys managed to step up and really take a big load of pressure off of Cade Cunningham and helping the Pistons get to the victory, which they needed tremendously before they go back to LCA. This game was fantastic. This was a huge game that they really needed. You don't want to go down 0-2 because the odds and the stats don't lie. When you go down 0-2, the odds are not in your favor to have any kind of chance of coming back, especially as a 6th seed, as a young playoff team, getting your feet wet in postseason basketball for the first time. The Pistons did a fantastic job of correcting their mistakes and making sure they did not repeat the same mistakes from game 1. Now they're going back to LCA with home court advantage in their favor, coming home to a ruckus crowd coming up at Little Caesars Arena, and it's going to be a wild environment. I cannot wait to see the fans come out. You guys got to go crazy, turn up, and show that this is a huge moment for this basketball team, for this franchise, for this Detroit sports community. The Pistons are here, and they have a huge opportunity to really pull off a realistic upset against the New York Knicks. It's right in their palm at this point. Game 3 is on Thursday, and I cannot wait to be at LCA. I will be in the arena. I will be covering the action. I'll be getting highlights. I'll be getting clips, talking to the JB, talking to the players. Make sure you lock in on the channel because I'll have plenty of coverage coming for you right here on Top Title Detroit. But talk to me in the comments. I would love to hear from you. What were your thoughts during game 2, and what is your final score going to be for game 3? Give me the predictions now. I want to hear it. While we're riding high, I want to know what your game 3 predictions are going to be for the Pistons. Do you think they can come out with the victory? And if they do, what's your final score? Talk to me in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video all over the place. I would really appreciate that support. We're ramping up our way to 300 subscribers, and I would love your support to make that happen. Thank you all so much for being here, man. I really appreciate your time. Go Pistons, and I'm going to see you right here again soon on Top Title Detroit. Peace.